It's just 40 days until President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration, and his cabinet picks are facing a critical stretch of locking in enough votes from senators. Now, one of the most controversial nominees reportedly turning the tide in his chances here. For more, let's bring in national political reporter for TheHill.com, Sarakshi Rai. Sarakshi, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth. Let's talk about him. He's been looking to win over some of those Republican holdouts. How are things trending for him right now?
That's right, Markie. Things are trending in a different direction from where they were last week. What we're seeing is some of the Republican senators who were skeptical about his pick as the Secretary of Defense have thawed a bit towards him. We've seen Senator Lindsey Graham come out and change his opinion publicly, as well as Joni Ernst talk about their meeting in a positive way. Now, what we're seeing is that he is really laying the groundwork with these meetings to address some of the questions that are going to come up in the hearing. We're seeing that he's meeting with another senator who's skeptical about his bid, Lisa Murkowski, today. He met with her yesterday, and he's got a horde of meetings today as well with other Republican senators, Markie.
And the president-elect's pick for Director of National Intelligence, she's also been making headlines this week, of course, talking about Tulsi Gabbard. She's met with senators again on Tuesday. She's a former Democratic congresswoman who then switched to Republican. How much will her foreign policy views impact her nomination?
Look, now there is some concern with her pick to lead the Department of National Intelligence. Now, what we're seeing or hearing from the Capitol is that there are concerns about her meeting with Syria's Assad during, the peak of the crisis in 2017, and there is some concern about, just how the U.S. shares intelligence with its allies. Experts from around the world are concerned that Tulsi Gabbard could hinder a long-standing tradition of international intelligence coordination if she is picked. And she is working her way through Capitol Hill right now to allay some of these concerns that have been expressed as well. We've heard from Representative-elect Elisa Slotkin, who is basically saying that, Senator-elect Elisa Slotkin, who is saying that, there are a lot of questions with the Five Eyes, which are the five countries that the U.S. shares intelligence with, about what happens if they disagree with the analysis of a problem. And that is what she's going to have to overcome, Markie.
Yeah, we'll watch to see where that goes. Lastly, before I let you go, let's also touch on South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. She was also on Capitol Hill yesterday. She's seeking to become Homeland Security Secretary. Does she appear to have the votes, Sarakshi?
Well, she is very well placed, Markie, right now. There hasn't been much concern expressed about her nomination so far. Now, remember, she is the first woman elected to serve as governor of South Dakota and is in her second term. And President-elect Trump has praised her on border security. She was also the first governor, really, to send National Guard soldiers to help, Texas in what President-elect Trump has called the Biden border crisis, and he is a huge backer of her in this position. So all things point to her being confirmed, given just how vociferously President-elect Trump is in support of her for this position.
I got to end it there, but Sarakshi Rai, thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.